football with. Drake! Look at the aim! Go!
Welcome to episode 8 of the Predictors podcast, being filmed on Vail's first snowy day of the year, October 21st. We're diving into the highs and lows of Week 7 in the 2024 NFL season and gearing up for an exciting Week 8. I'm your host, Jay Rock, and joining us as always are our MVPs, the one and only Dr. Preventure, orthopedic legend who's seen it all as the Patriots head surgeon, the GOAT and birthday boy himself, Zajac, and our very own Nate Dogg, predictor extraordinaire. Together, we're going to break down the latest pains and gains within the NFL to keep you ahead of the game. Let's jump right into the Rod Zone. Go! Welcome to the Rod Zone. Couple of quick college football hits for you guys. The Navy is 6-0. You love to see it. Shout out to the midshipmen. Shout out to the midshipmen for real. And how about them dogs going crazy? Georgia handed Texas their first loss since joining the SEC on Saturday night. You absolutely love to see it. And turning to the NFL, Jared Goff, a.k.a. Jared Go Off, also ended an undefeated streak for the Vikings, coming out on top 31-29. Throughout this season, we've seen plenty of blocked and shanked kicks, but Jake Bates rose to the occasion for the Lions with a 44-yarder to beat the Vikings, and Brandon McManus came in clutch on a 45-yarder to take Green Bay to a win over the Texans. It was a weekend of backup quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen, around the league. The Raiders, Dolphins, Commanders, Browns, and Steelers all digging deep into that QB depth chart. Russell Wilson got his first start as a Steeler against the Jets. Tyler Huntley's TD pass against the Colts was the first touchdown pass the Dolphins have recorded since the first quarter of Week 2, and the Browns side saga just continues. Deshaun Watson and Dorian Thompson were injured over the weekend, so moving forward, famous Jameis Winston will more than likely be the starting QB for the Browns moving forward. Devontae Adams snagged a surprising highlight playing his first game for the Jets in the form of a tackle stopping a pick six after a Steelers interception. Adams has now officially lost to the Steelers 2 weeks in a row. For anyone out there who does not have a team yet, it is the perfect time to dive in and support the Panthers, Patriots, Browns, or the Giants, because no one is coming at you and calling you a bandwagoner. But obviously, we can't say the same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs because they are the only undefeated team in the league. Now it's time to check out who's banged up from the weekend games. Let's dive into this week's injury updates. Go! Diving right into the injuries of the week, Doc, let's talk Xavier Newman, offensive lineman for the Jets. Looks like he was carried out on a stretcher during the Steelers game. What do you think the severity of this injury is? He did have use of his limbs.
Yeah, J-Rock, this is something we're always going to look at very closely because it's a cervical spine injury. And anytime that happens, he knew it right away. You could see him go down on the side, tried to get up, but it just wasn't happening. The medical staff did an amazing job taking care of him, backboarding, absolute top-notch precautions. Love to see that and taking highest level care of the player. Good news is that movement right away in all the extremities. We just have to see what's going on with the cervical spine now and also the bony structures around it. We'll wait to hear from the team to see where Xavier's going to go, but I think it's going to be overall reasonable news as long as everything checks out neurologically and from the spine standpoint.
Thanks for that, Doc. Hopefully we can get Xavier Newman back on the field feeling like a new man as soon as possible. Tyler, let's jump right into Deshaun Watson, quarterback for the Browns, torn Achilles. How serious does that look? Do you think he's going to be coming back ready for vengeance?
Well, J-Rock, I got to say, he's going to be out for the season. I think we know that. Next year, he's a dual threat quarterback, so that's going to be tough. I know Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, we look at those guys who came back. But they're more pocket passers, right? They're not running as much. This is going to be a tough one for Watson. Wasn't playing great this year anyways. A lot of fans were even cheering when he went down, which is something you never want to see when a player gets hurt. But the Browns, they have Nick Chubb back. They have David Njoku still there. And now they have Jameis Winston, who's been able to do it before. He's been able to show his talents off. So we'll see if they can get a couple wins under their belt with Winston under center.
Let's see if they can get some dubs under Winston, get them eating up some dubs. Nate, talk to me about Brandon Ayuk. Very unfortunate. 49ers wide receiver, possibly with an ACL. Is this true?
Yeah, this is a tough injury for the Niners. Torn ACL and MCL confirmed by tests today. And this season-ending injury comes after he signed a 4-year, $120 million contract days before the season even began. And you can see from the video, his knee just completely hyperextend. Is this surprising to you, Doc, that he also tore his MCL along with the ACL with this hyperextension?
Yeah, no, Nate, not at all. This we sort of called this from the beginning right away. This is a multi-leg knee injury. You could see the valgus load, which is this, injures the MCL, the hyperextension, which also puts this knee with rotation and highly suspicious to injure the ACL. Classic ACL, MCL mechanism, one of the most common things we see with a contact type of hit.
Hopefully, Brandon can get back out there as soon as possible. We got Jaden Daniels, quarterback for the Commanders, absolute phenom. Did end up having to get some x-rays for what appeared to be a rib injury on Sunday, but good spirits. He came back out to the field, all smiles. His mom did also tweet, he's fine. So hopefully that all comes to fruition, and we can see Jaden Daniels back out there commanding the Washington Commanders. Tyler, give me a little bit on Deebo Samuels. He had a pneumonia going on, a little bit of a flu.
Yeah, he has been hospitalized, found fluid in his lungs. He has pneumonia. Doc, you are a head team physician. How is this handled by the team physician? Do you just pass this on to the hospital and comes back when he comes back? Or how are you handling this as the team physician of the team?
Yeah, Tyler, first of all, is having vigilance, making sure we're watching the players closely. We know the players very well. Our head athletic trainers, the therapists, the team that's there full time knows these folks very well. Second thing is making sure that they get the best care possible. So we've got a whole crew of people working. As for us, when I was a head team physician, I had 73 medical professionals that I had on speed dial. And one of those would be the internal medicine doctor who worked very closely with us. Dr. Paul Cusick, shout out, amazing guy. Thanks for all your great help. He's my first call for something like this. And then we get the right professionals involved, whether you need a pulmonologist and additional internal medicine, we're getting this player cared of at the highest level. And that's the beauty of the Rolodex.
It's what you know and who you know. Let's have a great staff. Here we go. We got Aiden O'Connell, quarterback from the Raiders. He did fracture his thumb. Doc, fractured thumb, quarterback. That's obviously going to be huge. Do you think that's going to play out to him coming back soon, or it's going to be a little bit longer?
Yeah, not uncommon for quarterbacks. This is going to be multiple weeks for him. Why? Because you can stabilize, you can put pins in, you can put screws, but the ability to grip the ball and hold it is super important with the thumb. It's most important for the grip strength, and where he fractured this, at least where I'm suspicious where he fractured, the base of the thumb is super important for stability and to be able to have grip strength. So you need multiple weeks to get this kind of healed enough, the bone healed, and then the muscle and tendon unit working, scar down, and then strength and just less pain. It just takes multiple weeks for that to happen. So we're going to have to see how this evolves, but he's out multiple weeks.
It's going to be multiple weeks before we see Aiden back out there with thumbs up. Nate, tell me about Juju Smith. How's he looking? Possibly hamstring injury?
Yeah, J-Rock, this is a tough addition to the Chiefs' long injury list. They got Juju out with a hamstring. They also have Jalen Watson, one of their best cornerbacks on the team. He is believed to have suffered a broken ankle. So the Chiefs' three-peat chances keep getting slimmer, but you never know with Patrick Mahomes.
You never know. Hopefully, we can get him Juju in on that beat ASAP. Tyler, give me a little bit on Jalen Hyatt, Giants wide receiver with a cracked rib. What do you know about that? What can you tell the people?
Yeah, brutal for him, man. He had a very promising first year with 373 yards. We were hoping that he would break out in his sophomore season here. But up to date, he's only had about 8 targets this season, and now he's dealing with this rib injury. Of course, good news for the Giants is they did get Malik Neighbors back, but another hit to that wide receiving core. They seem to not be able to catch a break.
We've talked about hamstrings before. We talked about ribs before. I mean, let's just dive into hamstrings a little bit. Wide receiver, Juju, you're looking at 2.5 to 3.2 games, depending on who you are as a receiver. Juju's had multiple injuries before. He's going to be out multiple games. If you come back too soon, you, number one, can re-aggravate it and be out longer. Number two, you don't do as well the first 2 to 3 games back. So the team's smart. You rest him adequately and make sure that he's in optimal form before getting back on that hamstring.
Got to make sure they're in optimal form. Injuries can be a major setback that produce a major comeback. Let's check out who's bouncing back this week with the players returning from injury. Go! So with the players returning back on week 8, we got Tua coming back. Tyler, tell the people about Tua. Should he be wearing that Guardian cap?
Well, he's come out and said he's not going to wear it due to a personal decision. We talked about the Guardian cap last week and how much it could or might not do. So that's his personal decision. Personally, if I had that many concussions, I would probably have it on. But hey, if he is able to pass the protocol this week and practice with the team, we will see him out there this week and hopefully get those wide receivers some more targets now.
Sounds good to me. Jonathan Taylor, Colts running back, is coming back. Nate, give me a little bit on Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, J-Rock, he's been out since week 4, nursing a high ankle. And, they could have brought him back last week, debatably, but they did not. And they decided to give their star running back a little more recovery time, which was probably a good call. So excited to see him back.
Excited to see him back. He'll come back stronger. I just know that. Tyler, throwing it right back to you. Give me a little bit on Cooper Kupp.
Oh, yeah, Cooper Kupp, they have a Thursday game this week, and they think he's going to be back. He could have possibly been back this past weekend, but he wasn't 100% healthy. The team decided with that ankle to keep him out and get him back for the big primetime Thursday game. So I'm excited to see him back, and hopefully he can help the Rams.
Let's get him back out there. We have a couple of players that did return to play this past week in week 7. Nick Chubb, Jordan Mason, Anthony Richardson, and Aaron Jones all got back onto the field. Tyler, are there any standout players that came back this past week that you would like to mention in that group there?
Aaron Jones is probably did the best out of all of them. Of course, Nick Chubb had that touchdown, which was huge for his return, but not too many yards. Aaron Jones, however, coming back from a hamstring. We've talked a lot about hamstrings. He had 14 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. So it's not something you see all that often coming back from that type of injury. So it was great to see him out there doing what he does.
You love to see him getting back out there. Let's head right over to the bus stop because we're here to trust the bus. Go! Tyler, looking at the bus stop for this week, I know it takes a little bit of a time for us to get those actual reports in for the bus stop, but for what you've seen and what you've seen go down, do you think that the bus should be trusted this week, or do you think it's going to be a sus bus week?
I think I'm always trusting the bus. I think we're going to see some big changes based on some of the injuries we just talked about. Definitely the 49ers with everything they're going through. We need to talk about Kittle and his sprained foot. So they're going to fall quite handily in that. But luckily, if Baltimore can stay healthy tonight, they'll still be at the top. And teams, I think we can trust it.
Bust down.
Yeah.
Nate, tell me about how the bus looked this past week.
Yeah, J-Rock, another good week. We were 8 for 13, but we still have 2 games left. So I'm going to still trust the bus. I mean, that's the only logical thing here.
There's only one logical thing to do when you got scores this nice. You trust the bus. Let's get straight into the games of the week. Go! Game of the week. Tyler, who should the people be turning on to? If there's one game that they should click into, who do you think they should watch?
Well, J-Rock, I like the Eagles-Bengals this week, my man. Bengals have won 2 in a row now. They lost that overtime game to the Ravens week 5, but bounced back well after a rough start, had some off-season issues with their wide receivers. They're starting to come together more on offense, finding those ways to win. Defense has played better in the last 2 weeks. Granted, they've played pretty weak teams on offense, but they have been able to squeeze out those wins. It's going to be very interesting. I know a lot of people think the Eagles will win after their big win this past week, but Vegas has Cincy by 2.5 since he's at home. So It's going to be a great game to watch.
Interesting.
It's going to be an explosive match. Nate, game of the week. Who are you choosing this week?
J-Rock, I'm pumped for this week. I got Falcons at Bucks. This is a week 5 rematch. And J-Rock, we saw one of the more electric games of the season.
Insane.
Where the Falcons won in overtime. And, Kirko said, walk in yo trap, take over yo trap. And I think that's exactly what he's going to do on Sunday.
You got to protect your trap and take someone else's over. For my game of the week, I got the Jets and the Patriots. Ooh. I know for a fact that these are not the 2 most explosive teams in the NFL right now, but with a 64-year rivalry, both of these teams have something to prove on both ends of the ball. Drake May is going to need to get a win for the Patriots. They're 1-6 right now. They're looking to put some confidence into their rookie quarterback. And obviously, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams need to put a little bit of chemistry together on their own end. Playing against a team like the Patriots, it's easy to feel invigorated and feel like you can do a little something more this season. So maybe Devontae and Aaron can show that bromance that they got going on right now and pull it out. In my opinion, whichever one of these teams loses this game basically puts the nail into the coffin that is their season. Doc, game of the week, who you throwing at?
Yeah, this one's easy for me. We got Bears Commanders. Now, it's going to be interesting. We got Jaden Daniels on clear. I'm not sure he's going to play. It might be smart to rest him, but they're playing the Bears. So you got potentially 2 rookie quarterbacks. Bears are coming off a bye week, which they need. They need to regroup. They need to get their stuff together. Mariota is going to be on if Daniels can't go, and if not, we got number 1 versus number 2 picks in the draft with our rookie quarterbacks. And I think this is going to be really exciting. Commanders have been just so hot.
Oh, yeah. They've been absolutely fantastic. They've been an absolute joy to watch, as the whole season has been. Thank you guys for joining us for another electrifying episode of the Predictors podcast. We've covered the pains and gains of week 7, and we know that you're also ready for week 8. Tua is coming back. The Browns franchise is literally on fire. Another week is another opportunity to trust the bus. And if the Chiefs keep picking up injuries, there may be a new championship team on the horizon. Be sure to join us next week for more insights, predictions, and general good vibes. Until then, stay locked in, be safe, and may your fantasy team thrive. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at @thepredictors_, and visit our website for all the most important injury information, thepredictors.com. And I know you see this beautiful merch the boys are rocking today. This will be available for you guys soon enough, but I want you guys rocking it out and showing the world that you too can be a predictor. Until next time, boys and girls, stay lit.
That's
That
your birthday. So you got,